So, Coach,
What's up, Al?
obviously think about the W is this 12 roster spots. Right now you have 15 players competing for those spots, and you already have some guaranteed contracts. Can you talk about the competition level that you see in camp right now, and do you think that the lack of spots adds to that right now?
Yeah, for sure. We were intentional about creating a highly competitive, training camp environment, and we just felt like that was really important to pushing us forward and the growth that we needed to take as a team, and establishing the type of basketball culture and environment that we want to have in the gym every day, is to compete for everything. And so we feel like that has worked well. We're very fortunate that we have some very, very professional women in training camp that understand the challenges that the WNBA poses in terms of having only 12 roster spots, and recognizing that they do have to come in and compete for one of those spots, that there are no guarantees or entitlements. And so we feel like it's going well. And talking even to the players, they feel it, they know that, that's a part of it. But in the gym, you can tell that they're competing for an opportunity to be on this team, but they're still rooting for one another, right? Like there's still a very team, environment and aspect to what's going on. And it's been fun to be a part of. So, it won't be easy to make the final decisions that that will be necessary for us to make, but we're having a great, week and a half, or so. And, just kind of looking forward to, seeing how things look tomorrow.
Over to Miriam.
Hey, good morning, Derek. Taya was talking about that just having an itinerary is kind of exciting for her after her first season in the bubble, as far as going into tomorrow's game, and also that she appreciates like having more court time than you guys were allotted in the bubble as well. How are those, like, are you cognizant of the sort of those differences, and how do you think that will help a player like her grow?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was interesting for Coop, like just being a second year player, but being in your first training camp type of environment. And so I think it was an entirely new experience for her as a player in the WNBA, which can be good, right? For her to experience what it's like to have 15 players on a roster, everybody competing for opportunity and minutes, and then being fortunate, to have a space here, where we can train and prepare ourselves as players and as a team, to be at our best in terms of performance. And so, time with coaches, court space, being in market where our staff in terms of our team, as we're obviously like following protocols, and people that are in different tiers can be around the players at different times. And so just being able to have that support here in LA, I think is really beneficial for all of us, and Coop in particular, as a player that likes to work and likes to get better. It's been really positive so far.
Chris.
Hey, Coach, how are you this morning?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. Jasmine was talking about how she feels like she belongs. She feels like the competition aspect has been great. I just wanted to kind of get your early impressions of what she has been able to bring to the table. And has anything surprised you about her so far?
No, she belongs for sure. She's made that very clear. We obviously, felt very strongly about, her potential, the ability that she had as a player, to be impactful, which is why we moved up in the draft to just have the opportunity that if she was there at 7, we didn't tell many people about what our interest was, but you know, the opportunity to draft her at number 7 was very, very intentional, and she belongs. You know, she has the game that it takes to be a good pro. She has the mindset to get here early and stay late and ask questions and put time in on the court. And so, you know, she's done everything a first-year player can do to, you know, to send the message to, you know, her coaches, her teammates, everybody that she is confident, she does believe in herself, but there's a level of humility and respect and appreciation for this opportunity. And that's the energy that she comes in the gym with. So that makes us all want to help her even more. And that's been really cool to see. So we definitely believe Jasmine has a really bright future in this league. And she can be one of the great ones, not just good ones. But, you know, that takes time, and she's willing to put that time in.
Sean?
Hey, Coach. Morning.
What's up, Sean?
What's going on? We're close. Tomorrow marks another checkpoint, right? As far as camp goes, what are some things that you're kind of focusing on as you go into tomorrow that you're going to be looking for?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. And you know, in the W, it's like it's almost like a long sprint. You know, like the season being 32 games, and you know, the turnaround from draft to training camp to your first regular season game. It's so quick, and you don't have, you know, the opportunity to kind of see how things go the first couple months, you know, and then start to figure some things out. Like you really need to have a solid foundation from the beginning. So tomorrow is an opportunity to kind of, you know, start to build some of those habits and some of that foundation in a game type of setting. So, you know, we've had to spend a little more time in practice, you know, just introducing, you know, sideline out of bounds or baseline out of bounds, you know, jump ball, free throw line, just different situations that you're going to experience in a game. But most importantly, still, I think for tomorrow, you know, the most vital habits are communication defensively. The most vital habits offensively are sharing the basketball and passing it when somebody else is open, setting good screens, you know, sprinting back on defense, taking good shots. Like it, you know, those are the things that, you know, are important to be able to assess and evaluate even in these, you know, preseason situations. You know, more so than clean execution of things. It's really a habit building process, and we'll get a chance to see. You know, fatigue is it's gonna show a lot of people how hard it really is to be good in this league, and we'll get to see how some people respond to being like really, really tired, you know, and having to face some of the best players in the world at the same time. And it's different than practice, so it'll be fun. And it's not as much about the result of it, but, you know, some of the habits that we've tried to build this past week, you know, hopefully we'll be able to see some of those, you know, start to show themselves in the game situation.
Time for 2 quick more. We'll go to John and then end with Roz.
To kind of go off what Rashawn was saying, Coach, you know, you only technically have this one official preseason game next Saturday. Yeah, you have this scrimmage, but how much stock are you putting into a player's performance when it comes to evaluation when you're talking about, you know, just these 2 opportunities, the scrimmage and this preseason game versus everything you get to see from them in all of the various practice scenarios that you create in training camp? Like, what's more important when it comes to the final evaluation, like these games or all these practices that you've created?
Yeah, I think it's you know, a combination of both. You know, how you know, like with school, for example, like it, you know, instead of everything being weighted in a final exam and a midterm exam and nothing else matters, right? Like they figured out in school that You need to give a certain percentage to homework assignments. You need to give a certain percentage to quizzes. You need to give a certain percentage to to a midterm or a quarter exam. Like, you try to spread out, how you want to weigh how good a player is and how they'll be able to fit in your team. That doesn't just rely on, 15 minutes in a preseason game or a scrimmage, when she's shown you, many things over the course of 14 days or 17 days that she is capable of doing some things that maybe don't always translate in the game situation, especially if she's a young player. Because there's a lot of things that, she's processing. She's a first or second year player, just hasn't been in these situations a lot. So, it will help for sure. It does matter. There are players that can perform like an all-star at 10 in the morning, and at 7 at night, it's different. So, I think it is important to pay attention to some things in these two games that we'll have. But what's also important to us is who she is, as a woman. And those are things in terms of her character and her integrity. Does she show up on time? Is she here early? Does she want to get better? Does she stay late? Those are all things that, some people can look good in the game and don't handle those things very well. And she won't fit into what we're trying to do. So there's a balance to it. But there's no question we're excited about, the chance to evaluate it in game situations that just hard to simulate in practice.
Roz, last question.
Hey, how you doing?
Roz?
What's going on? I'm always trying to get the details. So, philosophically, and maybe stylistically, if you'd be willing, I'd love to know what to look for, just like what you're trying to do offensively and defensively, as in, like, is this going to be pick and roll oriented? Do you want to have a post touch first? Like, defensively, what's it about?
Yeah, no, great questions. We want to play fast. Like, the pace that we need to be able to play at is so key. Like, the way we've constructed this roster, we do ourselves a disservice by, tiptoeing down the court and, taking 15 seconds just to get into something. We want to attack people before their defense can be back in set. So, it's why, we've focused on the type of personnel that we've brought in. A good amount of screen and roll for sure. Erica Willer's ability to operate in screen roll. Christy Tolliver, Brittany Sykes has improved. Taya Cooper has improved. Sydney Weiss. And just continuing to put different people, in those situations. We have some great, pick and pop players that can shoot the basketball from the perimeter. So for sure, a heavy dose of pick and roll. But also providing opportunities for, NECA and Shanae and players that are great, high percentage shooters in the paint to get consistent touches as well. So I think the main thing that we want to do is, we want to get down the court and get the first best shot we can get more times than not. Defenses are too good to get late into the clock too many times. So just look for us to play significantly faster, especially in these preseason games. I'll probably threaten them a couple of times that if we don't shoot the ball within the first 10 or 12 seconds, they have to come out of the game. Because we just have to send the message that you're going to have to be in great shape to be able to play at the pace that we need to play at. And if you can't sustain that effort, then we can get somebody else in that can do so. Defensively, we want to take advantage of our versatility on that end as well, and just try to be really disruptive, take teams out of what they're trying to do as opposed to allowing them to get into their stuff. And, we feel like we have the athleticism and the length behind the basketball. So not just great ball pressure that we've been able to enjoy, like over the last couple of years. In a few years, like Elena Beer was great on the basketball. Brittany Sykes was great on the basketball last year, but we weren't always as great behind great, players on the ball. TRP was good on the ball for us, but we weren't as good behind it. And so we feel like now we have athletes at the wing positions and in the front court that if teams are throwing lazy passes, if we're disrupting and getting deflections, we're taking that and we're going the other way quick. So those are really the things that we want to see most nights. And then, of course, when we have to execute, we want to be sharp and we want to be detailed. And, I think Christy Tolliver and Nneka are going to make sure of that. And so it'll take time for us to get all of that in that I just said, but fast and disruptive, to sum it all up.